Hey YouTube, so this is my third StarCraft 2 video. So the first one I showed you a TVP, the second one I showed you a TVT where I went bio against his Marine tank army, and now this is going to be my TvZ. So these are sort of showing my typical matches in my Platinum versus Platinum games. These are just amateur level games, but it gives you an idea of what it's like to be at this level. So if you're a gold level player, then you might learn something from this series. If you're a diamond level player, you get to laugh at me a little bit. So anyways, I've dropped the volume on StarCraft to 30 on the mixer because I found that while I was talking, while an attack was going on, you could barely hear my voice. So now that should help out a little bit when it comes to the quality of this video. So let's go to the replay. So the last game was on Antigua Shipyard, which was the TVT. So now this is my latest game for TvZ against Tenox. So let's open this up. So he's in the bottom right here. We'll speed this up to ×2. Pull the units tab and the names so you can see your supply count. So I'm in the bottom left, so pretty close spawn locations. So there's not too much to talk about in the beginning here, except for my strategy for this game. So my strategy for going in TvZ is typically to go a fully mech play. I have been trying Marine tanks like the pros seem to play it, but I just can't seem to put on enough pressure. Even if I do a 2 racks in the beginning, it's hard to fall back onto something solid. If your APM is not high enough, you can't come back with a Marine tank push immediately, or another Hellion push immediately. It just doesn't seem to follow through too well. And if I just wait until I've got a bunch of Marines and tanks, then he's been able to drone up, no pressure at all. So I can't really find anything to do besides for going for early Hellions in a mech play and putting on the pressure that way, and then following it up with tanks and Thors, etc. Which seems kind of natural because you already have all your factories up. You have the tech lab on a factory to get the blue flame for your Hellions. So going fully mech play just seems to work. The only thing you have to worry about going fully mech is that you need to be prepared in late game to switch to a bunch of starports to pump out some Vikings to combat his broodlords. So anyways, equal harvester count right now. I've walled off with a barracks, put a reactor on it very early, put my factory on it. So I'm going to pump out a couple of Hellions here. I haven't even produced one Marine yet. He's just managing to scout now because he did a ridiculous scout where he only scouted till here, here, and here until he realized, oh, the bases are a little further up, and then he started doing a reverse scout and finally found me. So he's got his expansion up. He's putting 2 sprying crawlers up after seeing that I was going to go a Hellion play. He hasn't transferred any drones over. Well, mind you, he only has 16 drones because he took 2 to build spine crawlers. He spent way too much larva on these zerglings, which he's wasting away right now. Well, he finally pulled them behind the spine crawlers. We'll slow this down now a little bit. So he's got a roach chasing down my Hellions. I've got a couple back here just in case, but he pulls back. He doesn't even have speed up. Does he have gas? He's got plenty of gas to start the speed. Oh, he does have speed now. So now he'll be able to combat these Hellions a little better. I still don't have blue flame, but I'm roasting away his zerglings. He pumps out a couple more roaches. That's enough to keep my Hellions out of his base. So what am I doing back here? Pumping out some more Hellions. Siege tanks pretty well done. Oh no, that's blue flame. Sorry. I'll start my siege tanks, or my siege modes soon after. Building up some tanks to combat those roaches just in case he decides to push. I built 1 marauder as well, something to counter those armored units of his. I'm on 2 gas. I built a tech lab with this barracks. Now I'm going to build a factory on that tech lab, so very factory heavy because I do want to go a mech play. He's got 8 roaches now. He's building his evolution chamber to get some upgrades on those roaches. He's still only at 25 drones, so equal drones, equal base. Oh, not equal bases yet, but you'll see what happens later on. It ends up being pretty well equal bases. So we'll speed this up again. Not much is happening. Go to the production tab. So he's upgrading to his missile level 1. He doesn't have his lair yet. Just getting it now. Slow this down because I'm starting to bring my Hellions around so we can see how much damage this does. So I do a scan. I see he has roaches, but you know, with this many Hellions, I figure I can still push in. I'm gonna go for his mineral line, so we'll poke the workers killed and see how many I can actually get. So there's 3, 4. He's lining them up. Oh, 5. Didn't really get a full lineup. 8. His roaches did a very good job of cleaning up this Hellion. So 8 worker kills, which leaves us at 25 to 28 for him. So I'm beating him by 3 workers, which is very good for a Terran. You know, he should be using all these larvae. He has how many larvae, and he's not even using them. You know, 6 at each. Finally, what's he got in the production tab now? 8 drones. So smart move. I'm at 4 tanks here, bunch of Hellions, and I'm trying to push out slightly. I want to beat his Spire timing. I figure I killed enough drones that he's not going to be able to afford Mutalisks at this point. So I'm pushing out into the middle of the map. Do I have my expansion started yet? Not quite yet. I've got my first Thor, so that's my only tech right now to combat Mutalisks if he does happen to get them out. So 39 drones to 31 SCVs, and I've got a mule, so probably equal income, except for he's on 2 bases, so his income's probably slightly better because I'm probably oversaturated at my main. And now I'm pushing out, so he's got his roaches, got my Hellions and 3 tanks. So I think I try to bait in his roaches a little bit with my Hellions here. So I chase him down. Tank's got a few free shots. Now I'm going for the workers again, so that 8 workers kill is now up to 14, 16, so doubled my workers killed, 18 workers killed. So another 10 workers killed in this attack. I knew those Hellions weren't going to serve too much purpose, so I went for the mineral line. So 3 tanks here, and Thor. I actually made the mistake of unsieging while I was pushing up my Thor. I should have kept them sieged up. But I guess their DPS is a little better unsieged. So this force is going to get wiped out eventually. So what am I doing back home? I've got no expansion setup, just a bunch of minerals in the bank, over 1,000 minerals. So this is really bad on my part. I was so focused on that attack, which is kind of just sitting here right now, not doing too much. His roaches are going to come finish it off here pretty soon. So on my tanks I'm 1-0, on his roaches he's 1-1. So I'm building Thors and Hellions at this point. It's a good little mix. Am I going for, yeah, just started level 2 here. I've got missile turrets up in case he's got Mutalisks on the field. And I'm double building 2 command centers at the same time to do a double expand. So nothing really happens at this point. He's what's he doing? Building back his drone count, and I'm continuing, you know, building up these 3 production facilities, waiting for my command centers to finish. So you know, we're 50 minutes in the game and I still don't have an expansion because I was so busy putting on the pressure. So let's speed this up to ×4. He's getting a Spire out. His drone count's slightly higher, so now we'll slow it down again. So he's pushing out with a couple roaches until he sees my force coming out. So I've pulled a bunch of SCVs, probably a dozen SCVs here. Double click on them if possible. So yeah, 8 + 5, so 13 SCVs to help heal up those Thors. And now I'm going to push out with them while I continue to build some units back here at home. Placing my 2 expansions, I'll move my SCVs over. But with 13 SCVs here and only 34 at home, that only leaves me 21 SCVs to be mining at home. So with his 40 drones, his income's far higher than mine. So put that income tab, yeah, you can see 1100 to 500. So I'm really hoping this is going to do a lot of damage. So killing off the creep tumors here. He's got a pretty high roach count with 2-1 upgrades. I've got my army with 1-0 upgrades. So I come in here and these SCVs are doing wonders to keep me in the game. Tanks are adding splash damage. You know, pretty well spread out tanks. So I've got my 3 Thors fully healed up. Still a bunch of SCVs. And so I continue to push up in here. And as I'm doing this, starting to get my orbital commands started on my expansions. Eventually I'll transfer over some SCVs. So you can see here I just did an orbital command on this expansion here. Just letting these guys do their work. He hasn't taken a third. I was very shocked he didn't take the third over here yet. So I try to keep my my Thors nicely grouped up. Pull my SCVs, right click on my Thor and they're all set to auto repair. So they're kind of good on their own here for a little while. I don't have to worry too much. So I go back home and I've transferred my SCVs over. Building SCVs at all of them. So you look at production tab, 3 SCVs at a time. He's researching burrow and tunneling claws. So I guess that he fears that that's how he's going to get himself back into the game. I guess the flyer attacks for his mutilisks, of which he has none at this point. So I don't know if that's a worthwhile upgrade at this point. And still the same 3 factories. I'm not building too much at home right now. I really don't have all that much money. I was starting to wonder why, but then I realized, you know, I'd pulled off so many SCVs to do this attack. So now I wiped out this expansion. I think I haven't peeked over yet here, so I think he's still on 2 bases, even though he's really only on 1. So these Thors are just doing wonders with 2-0 upgrades against these 2-2 roaches. How much damage does that do? 36 damage, so not bad. The tanks with 3-0 I think do 65 with splash damage, so that's pretty impressive. But Thors have the ability to shoot those mutilisks, and that's what I was afraid of. You know, most Zerg players go mutilisk, so I was just waiting for those to come out on the field. But considering I have Thors that I'm just shocked if he still went mutilisks, even though he got that level 1 flyer attack. So I think finally now he'll wipe out this Thor. Pull out some Hellions, and he unveiled that he had burrow, and now I know he has tunneling claws because he was able to move. So I know all his tech, so I'm going to continue building some Thors and Hellions. I think I've started 3-0. Yeah, my 3rd upgrade here, so that'll help kill those roaches off. You know, I've started to, I know I have 6 geysers up, not fully mining from all of them yet, but eventually I will, so I'll speed this up to ×2 a little bit. So he pushes out with some of his roaches. I finally got my guys in gas because I want to continue this mech play, which requires a lot of gas. So I'll slow this down again because he's pushing up with his 6 roaches, which actually does an incredible amount of damage. So if you look at workers killed for him, he's at 14. So I pull off some SCVs to repair these Thors. I start putting up missile turrets so I can detect his burrowing. The tank's getting a couple free shots, but I think that was at 14 kills or SCVs kills. So now he's gotten almost 10 more now, and I move my SCVs back in the line. Kind of bait in the roaches. I knew I had 3 orbitals to be building SCVs, so I sacrificed a couple to get rid of these roaches. So it won't take much now. This turret's going to detect the burrowing, and I can do a scan to finish them off eventually, which I think comes in pretty soon. Oh no, turret was enough. So dropping a few mules. He's got his expansion back up with no drones, a few mutilisks on the board. So really overall, let's check the units tab. So he finally got himself up to 25 drones. He was only at 18 for a little bit there to my 42. So similar story to last game where, you know, after your SCV counts, you know, ends up like double your opponents. There's no way you can really lose, even if you bring in some burrowed roaches or some mutilisks in the back. And, I've got a couple turrets set up already. I was worried about those Mutalisks, you know, 15 game minutes ago or 10 game minutes ago, so you should have expected some turrets somewhere around the base. So my Thor is gonna combat those Mutalisks quite well. Still only at 25 drones. No queen at this base. Queen at this base, doing some larva injects. Still hasn't taken this third expansion, so let's speed this up a little bit. It seems inevitable of what's gonna happen. So he brings his Mutalisks around, finally discovers I have this base. Slow it down. He does try to harass a little bit, you know, out of range of my missile turrets. You know, I put up a sensor tower knowing I'm well ahead. Got a whole bunch of tanks, a whole bunch of Thors. These are all 3-1 now. I think I'm working on the first shield upgrade. Still, only on these three factories. Getting those factories early on help. These Mutalisks are going to pay a little bit of a price here. And what kind of units does he have? 13 roaches and 2 queens to combat this this massive army here of 6 tanks, 2 Thors, and a bunch of Hellions, all upgraded 3-0. So these tanks are doing you know 34 damage unsieged and 65 sieged. It's just an incredible amount of damage. Roaches was, you know, the worst thing he could have done against a siege tank army. But with this kind of a mix, you know, Mutalisks aren't a great mix against Thors. Zerglings aren't a great mix against Hellions. It's just I had a very good mix at this point in the game. You can see how quickly this hatchery just dies down after these roaches are killed off. It's just game over, GG. This is how I like to play my TvZ games, and this is what seems to work. I could show you a bunch of games where a marine tank has failed for me, and I can't show you nearly as many where this mech play hasn't worked. You know, sometimes I go for, you know, command center after barracks, and then try it so I can get my income up a little higher, get my expansion out. But either way, mech seems to be the way to beat Zerg. You know, you can keep the pressure on. He wasn't able to get infestors out. He wasn't able to get early Mutalisks. It just seems to work. I'm able to keep the pressure on, and I'm able to find a good tech path afterwards, after the Hellions have done their damage against the drone line. So anyways, if you like this video, like it please. I love seeing your comments as well, so leave your comments. You know, if you have some suggestions, that'd be great. And subscribe if you want to see any more videos, and I'll talk to you guys later. Check out some of my other videos. Alright, take care guys. Bye.